Well, here we are at what is looking like my second year, the first episode of my second year doing this show, which I'm super happy about. So this is the 53rd episode, which kicks off season 4. Now, if you're new here, this podcast is where I talk honestly about what it's actually like to be a solopreneur, which is an interesting choice in vocations. It's not the highlight reel. It's not the hustle culture version. Cue eye roll. Just the real lived experience of being in it, being a solopreneur, because that's what we need to talk about, because it's a very lonely type of a career choice. So if you've been listening for a while, you know I organize the show into seasons, each one focusing on a different layer of solopreneur life. And this season, I don't know how I feel about this. I kind of feel like I'm excited about it, and yay, it's a new season, so I can have a new focus with some great ideas and different perspectives. But it's kind of been sitting with me for a while, and I finally landed on a theme that feels true, even if it is a little uncomfortable. And that's why I'm not quite sure about it just yet. It's really about the hidden realities of managing a solopreneur life. That's the theme. It's open enough where I can grab a bunch of different aspects of being a solopreneur, but dig really deep. Today, I just want to talk about why I chose that theme, why it matters right now, and what I hope it gives you as a listener, and hopefully you're a loyal listener. So let's go ahead and kick things off. Welcome to My Solopreneur Life. I'm Terry Pappy, your gracious host, and I am so glad you're here. I have a wonderful episode for you. Sit back, relax, and let's have some real talk about what it is to be a solopreneur. I've been noticing something lately. Whenever I talk with solopreneurs, like clients, peers, people who message me, people I meet in real life, people who comment on my posts, the conversation almost always drifts to the same place. Someone will say something like, "Can I ask you something that might sound dumb?" And it's never dumb. It's usually something like, "Am I doing this right? Why does this feel harder than I expected? Why do I feel behind even though I've had some wins? Why does no one talk about this part?" I love that one. And that really is at the heart of what this is so about, because it stuck with me and I just felt like it was time to go a little deeper. I love making this show include tactics or include prompts, which I try to include things you can do, takeaways. I don't want it to be like, here's a course and this podcast will teach you how to do this, that, and the other, but it's really to stir what's inside you. There's no one correct way that everybody must follow, especially when it comes to being a solopreneur and carving your own path. There's a lot about solopreneurship that just isn't talked about openly, and I think that's really where I landed. I don't think it's because people are hiding things. I think it's because a lot of the real stuff happens quietly, internally, when you're alone, which you're alone a lot when you're a solopreneur. When I say hidden realities, I'm not talking about secrets in a dramatic sense. I'm talking about the internal experience of managing a solopreneur life. The stuff that doesn't show up in posts or podcasts or marketing copy. Oh God, right? Like the mental load of being the owner and the operator, or the emotional whiplash between a good week and a scary one, which is weird. I saw somebody write something like that the other day, and I was like, are you just trying to get attention or what? Anyway, I always wonder what people are thinking when they do stuff like that. It's like, well, was it AI? I don't know. Another one is like the pressure of knowing that if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. Or the constant second guessing, the loneliness that can creep in even when things look fine from the outside. And they sound so dramatic, don't they? These things, they quietly shape whether this path feels sustainable or not. And that or not matters because success isn't just about revenue or growth or visibility. It's also about whether or not you can stay in this life without losing yourself. And that is so important because you're free to make so many choices for you while you're being a solopreneur and as you're carving this away, right? Since I've been doing this for 20 years, and I want to say this carefully, most solopreneurs I know are not failing. They're not lazy, they're not incapable, and they're not doing it wrong. They're just carrying a lot. And I don't want this to be about, oh, how to deal with the overwhelm of being a solopreneur and wearing so many hats. No, it's just there's too much alone. And you may have a community, you may have a mastermind, you may have a meetup that you go to, whatever, a networking group. But at the end of the day, you still come home to your house, to your office, and you sit down at your computer and you deal with business stuff. When you're alone that much, you start kind of taking on this internal load and it's hard to put your finger on it. You just start getting symptoms, like you're stressed or you don't sleep good or you're starting to think certain things about your business or you feel like you're losing momentum. And people assume the problem is them. That's the part I want to interrupt with this season. Okay, so let me be clear about what this season is not. This is not a how-to series, although I will drop some good prompts and I will, if there is a tactic that I think will be beneficial, I will offer that to you, or something that I've done that has worked. I will offer that to you, but I don't want it to be looked upon as a how-to show. It's really a discussion. I wish we could do it two ways, but I will have some guests on that we will have a wonderful dialogue about this very theme. It's not a tactical playbook. It's not a sales funnel in podcast form. It's not a motivational push to grind harder. Believe me, there's no shortage of that out there. This season is about orientation. It's about helping you look at what you're experiencing and saying, oh, this is part of it. Because sometimes that realization alone changes how heavy things feel. I describe this podcast, as you hear in my intro and outro, it's real talk. And I use that phrase for a reason. Real talk isn't loud. It's not edgy for the sake of being edgy. It's not about hot takes. Real talk is about saying the quiet part out loud. It's the thing you thought you were the only one thinking. And when that happens, something shifts. Your shoulders drop, you breathe, you stop assuming you're broken, you start spending too much time thinking about it all the time and just kind of going down what I call that tunnel with no cheese. That's the energy I want this season to hold. Over the course of the season, we'll talk about things like the emotional side of independence, the pressure of being responsible for everything, especially the bottom line. What happens after the initial excitement wears off and you're out of the honeymoon phase of launching your solopreneur practice? It's going to be about how confidence actually builds over time. I can vouch for that, being 63 and doing my second podcast. It's about why certain parts of the work drain you. This is really key. And basically what will enliven you. And that's something that I have learned very clearly. It's also about how to trust yourself in a noisy world full of opinions and strategies. And some episodes will just be me thinking out loud and sharing patterns I see again and again with, of course, a lot of my colorful stories of my own bumps along the way. And other episodes will include guests who are basically other solopreneurs just like you and me who have done a lot of inner and outer work and who are willing to talk honestly about what they've learned. No pitch, no posturing, no, hey, buy my thing. It's just real talk. Like humans. I think this season matters right now because the solopreneur space feels very noisy. And because there's been so many changes in the corporate world with a lot of layoffs, a lot of rifts, just general changes as the economy has different influences on business types, business growth. And there's more advice than ever out there, more tools, more pressure to keep up, more technology. Look at what AI is doing. And at the same time, more people quietly wondering if they're actually cut out for it. That's kind of a big one. And I've referenced this in prior episodes where I've spoken to people who were very, very good at what they did in the corporate world, and they got laid off, and they were like, okay, I'm going to be a consultant. And I would talk to them, and it was abundantly clear to me that they were not ready to do that, nor was it a fit. So I told them, it's like, you may want to consider looking for another job. I wasn't that crass about it, but I did acquaint them with the realities of it. When you look at this, it's like the answer isn't more tactics. The answer is being clearer about where you're going, what your choices are, and finding better language for what's really happening. It's like more normalization, more steadiness, and more permission. So if you're listening to this and nodding along, if you felt some of these things but haven't had words for them, if you've kind of ever wondered whether it's supposed to feel like this, you're exactly who this season is for. I mean, I try to be as broad as possible when I come up with these themes and the topics for every episode. I want to try to cover as many things that could be happening in your world, my clients' worlds, my prospects' world, what I'm hearing out there in social media. And the bottom line is you don't need to be scaling. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be honest about where you're at and cherish the journey, because it is a journey being a solopreneur. As you're listening to this season, I'm going to suggest don't listen for answers. Listen for what resonates, what moves you, what relieves you, what makes you feel better, and what challenges a belief you've been carrying. That's going to be a big one. And don't forget that at the end of the day, it's really building trust around the choices that you're making for your business and just being able to lean into that a little bit more. So if an episode makes you pause, reflect, or feel seen, that's enough. That's it. And if a prompt triggers something that you want to explore more, then I've done my job. And that's why I'm here. Managing a solopreneur life isn't just about what you do. It's about who you're becoming inside that process, inside that journey. A lot of that happens quietly, without applause, without certainty. What I'm going to do in this season is shine a light on those hidden realities. Not to scare you, not to fix you, but to steady you. To remind you that you're not broken, you're not behind, and you are definitely, this is the most important one, you're definitely not alone. So I'm really glad you're here. Let's go ahead and get this season kicked off. Well, I know you're disappointed, but that's it for this episode. Listen, the great news is there's another one coming, so stay tuned. Anyway, I just want to make sure that you do the prompt. If this episode had a prompt, and you get that homework done because you're going to be a better solopreneur. How's that for a maternal finger shaking at you? Hey, listen, thanks so much for being here, for giving me time of your day, and, for taking it on. So if you want to learn more and stay connected with me, just head on over to mysolopreneurlife.com. Thanks a bunch. See you soon. That was pretty good. I think I'll keep that one.